And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hi, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Melody, and this is my dad, and we're reviewing Magic the Gathering new decks.
Yeah, this is actually Commander 2013. Now, what we're doing is we're going to be taking a look at the Commander format itself for Magic, as well as a little bit about these specific decks. Now, the Commander format is one that I was never really... I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was that it came with giant cards, and I thought, wow, those are pretty big Magic the Gathering cards. And they said there were 100 card decks for multiplayer, and I thought, But I thought we would give it a whirl, and this is what I found out. Now, there are 5 different decks for the Magic Commander for 2013. I only have 3 of them because they are expensive. And they come in a box like this, but once you're done with the box, you'll take out the plastic and get rid of the plastic, and you'll know this card is in the plastic. And then you can open up this box here, and there are 3 of these oversized cards. Now, you don't actually need the oversized cards to play, but they are pretty fun. And then inside is a deck of 100 other cards, and they actually fit in these boxes pretty well. You can put the cards in the box and put the oversized one on top of it, so I don't mind keeping these boxes around. They're a good way to store the cards, although Wizards of the Coast does sell special Commander boxes. When you're building a Commander deck, you need to use 100 cards exactly. All those cards, except for basic lands, must be different. As an aside here, in this video I'm going to assume you know how to play Magic the Gathering. If you don't, they actually give you the rules when you buy a Commander deck, so you can get started using this format. But I'm going to assume that you watchers already know how to play. So you're going to pick a legendary creature to be your Commander. Now, they give you these 3 giant ones that you can use, but if you're building your own, you can start with any legendary creature. And each of these creatures has a certain number of colors. You can see each of these creatures here is going to cost blue, black, and red, plus some colorless mana, possibly. So you're going to pick one of these creatures. So let's say I pick Jaliva Nephalia Scourge, and hopefully I mispronounce that so all the Magic people can get mad at me. Now, in the deck, there's actually a small version of her. Like I said, you can use a small version rather than the large. But if I use her, I'm going to take the small one out of the deck. While I can keep the other ones in the deck, it's not a problem. I'm going to put her outside the deck, next to the deck, in a command zone, and then I'm going to shuffle the deck and have 99 cards ready to go, and then we play a regular game of Magic. But there are some differences. The first difference is the biggest one, that you have 40 life instead of 20 life. So the game is going to last longer because you and your opponent both have life. Also, you can play multiplayer. There can be multiple people. I mean, you can play multiplayer in Magic too, but this one's specifically set up so that it can be played multiplayer. Again, remember that the up here in the top of the Commander, we have the 3 colors there. So in this instance, they're blue, black, and red. Here's one from the other deck that's a green, white, and blue. Or another deck, these are the 3 decks I have. This is a red, green, and white. Those colors that you have there is considered your Commander's color identity. Your whole deck must be made of those colors. So this one is going to be a blue, black, and red deck. You can't use cards that are outside those colors, although you're allowed to use artifacts and colorless mana things. So you'll be building a deck and using those. Now, as the game progresses, because your Commander's in your command zone, you can cast them anytime you want. So I can cast her by paying a colorless, a blue, a black, and a red mana, and move her from my command zone out onto the board where she will do attacking and be a pain in the neck to my opponent. If she is killed for any reason, she goes back into your command zone, and I can cast her again. However, each subsequent time costs 2 more colorless mana. So while here at the beginning, she costs 1 colorless, a blue, black, and red, if she dies the second time, she would cost 3 colorless, a blue, black, and red, then 5 colorless, etc. There's actually some commanders that take advantage of this, like Marith, the Will of the Wild here. When he comes out, he has +1 counters equal to the amount of mana that's spent to cast it. So in subsequent times when he's cast, he becomes more and more powerful. Because of the different cards that are in the decks and things that people are playing, there are many cards that are in these decks that specifically refer to this format. For example, this land here gives you 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. So this, if I'm playing with my commander who is blue, green and white, this is a blue, green, or white that I can tap it for. Here, this one I can do something very similar to here. Again, talking about the commander. Other cards talk about the multiplayer format, where they can't be blocked if you have the most creatures or you're tied for the most. I mean, these cards work in two-player games, but they have very similar things to them. As the true name Nemesis enters the battlefield, choose a player, and they have protection from that player. Again, only against one person. There's different lands that are in the game. Here, you can choose left or right for the Mystic Barrier. Each player can attack only opponents seated nearest him or her in the chosen direction. So you can only attack them. And here's another one that players can't gain life, etc. And a random player will gain control of this enchantment as the game goes by. So these cards specifically deal with Commander and also refer to multiplayer, but I've tested it out with two-player and the game does work quite fine. Now as for these exact decks, they come with, you know, your typical lands, the blue, black, red, for example. It comes with lots of swamps and mountains and islands. And then it also comes with 18 unique lands. Because you can only have one card. Basically, it is the title of the card is where the difference matters. So it comes with all these really cool lands, and this is one of the things that's a really neat factor of these Commander decks is because you get a lot of cool cards. In fact, the Magic players in my area have told me that many of these decks, or a couple of these decks, have some fairly rare cards, and people are buying these decks specifically to get those cards and use them over the course of the game. Obviously, some of the cards in the deck also have come from core sets and other sets as time goes by. And some of them are brand new, and I haven't checked to see which ones are brand new. And this review isn't necessarily to talk about every single card, because I have 3 decks, each with 100 cards in them, and, you know, other than the basic lands. So there's probably 200 plus different cards I could talk about. But there are some cool cards. You can see this one here as a legendary rare. It lets you put 13 two black zombie creatures on the board. And there's all sorts of cool cards. And I'm not showing these to you in any particular order. This is from the black, red, and blue deck. And each of these there's tons of different cool creatures. The legendary creatures that you don't use as your commander will also be in the deck. And because of the format, you will certainly have the possibility to summon these different creatures over the course of the game. And there's lots of cool artifacts. Many of the artifacts also provide mana for you. So it's pretty easy to get mana in these games, and as time goes by, to build up cool creatures to attack your opponents. So again, just kind of quick running you through this deck. Let's take a look at another deck. Here's a little bit from the green, red, white deck. This is a cool creature. When a land enters the battlefield, you can also put a 4/4 creature, and this guy's even a 6/6 with trample. But there's all sorts of cool cards. And again, I apologize for not being able to go over each card, but I'm sure that Wizards of the Coast has a place online where you can go and look at all the different cards. But let's talk now about how I feel about how this Commander format plays and these particular decks. Just so you guys know, if you're watching this and you're maybe a Magic the Gathering fanatic, neither of us are really Magic the Gathering fanatics. We've played Magic the Gathering a lot.
Yes.
And we have a lot of cards for it, but we don't buy every pack that comes out. We don't buy lots of boosters. We play at a very casual level. We mostly play with introduction decks. So we played with these decks. What do you think about this Commander? Let's talk about the Commander way first, with 40 life, and with having a commander that you can pull out anytime you want, and 100 cards that are all different. What do you think?
I really did like this. I thought it was fun with the 40 life thing, and I really like the commanders.
Yeah.
So basically I'm just saying I liked almost everything.
Right, well, I'm going to be stronger than that. I love this. This is the best way for me to play Magic the Gathering. The fact that you have 40 life allows you to get out some really big creatures, which is something I've always liked about Magic the Gathering. You can put out really powerful stuff and just really go toe-to-toe. The other thing that I'm a really big fan of is the 100 card deck that has to be different. No more cheese decks, because with 100 cards, with them mostly being different other than the basic lands, really you can't make a deck and say, oh, I'm going to get this card, because you probably won't get that card. Yeah. There's only so many cards in the deck, and so it gives you a huge variety. In fact, I love playing with these pre-constructed ones, but I'm not going to build. We have a bunch of extra cards, yes, and I'm not going to build any regular decks. I'm just going to build commander decks. Yeah, because I think that's the most fun way to do it. Pick
Commander
3 colors.
Really good too. I really like that fairy in this deck.
Yeah, I do not like that fairy. That mind controls one of my own people, making it attack me.
I mind controlled his commander.
Yeah, okay, anyhow. So there's a lot of cool cards in there. The lands are exciting. It's fun to get all those neat different lands that, normally you might not get out in a regular game. This is by far, I like this double regular Magic. And I don't even care if it's multiplayer or one-on-one. I still actually prefer one-on-one to multiplayer. Both the multiplayers are right.
I never played the multiplayer.
Yeah, you didn't. I did. This is just very casual. And that's exactly how I like it.
Yep.
So do you like this better than regular Magic or different?
I like it better because it's longer and also cooler with the commanders.
Yeah, really, that's what it is. It's a longer, cooler game. And it has less opportunities for munchkins and cheese to occur in the game. And, these are pricey decks for sure. If you think about it, this is an expensive game. Let's say you want to buy both of these, and let's say they're around $25, $30 each. That's $50 for a game. But I'm telling you, you're going to play these two decks against each other a lot more than regular decks. So, a lot of fun, really cool. For me, super thumbs up, Magic Commander. And you?
Good game. Really, really good game.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.